Hi guys, welcome back. It's Donwozi here, and today I'm going to be updating my Magicka Sorcerer pet build for the Dragonbones DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online. Just a quick note that if you want to read the written version of this build, it will be exclusively on dotsgaming.com, so please check that out. The link will be in the description. And without further ado, I'm going to get into the build. So our fully buffed stats are 49.3k Magicka, 16.4k health, 10k stamina, 2840 spell damage, 41.9% crit, and 1541 Magicka recovery. We have 64 points into Magicka, but if you feel that the health is a little bit low for your liking, then I would suggest putting some points into health, or using a health glyph. That's entirely up to you. The food we are using is Clockwork Citrus Fillet. If you don't have if it's too expensive for you, then I would suggest running Witch Mother's Brew, and then definitely put some points into the health attribute point. We are a stage 4 vamp, but just remember that we carry around double Bloody Mara, which reduces your vamp stage, just for them certain instances where it'd be detrimental to be a vampire because of the fire damage. The boon we are running is the Apprentice, and we are a high elf. Dark elf also works with this build, so that's entirely up to you. Now I'm going to go over the gear. On the front bar we are running an Asylum Perfected Inferno staff with a shock damage enchant, and that is infused. And on the back bar we are running a Maelstrom Lightning staff with a Berserker enchant, which is also infused. We are running two-piece Alambris, and we are running 5-piece Necropotence on the body, and 3-piece Moon Dancer. The jewellery is all enchanted with spell damage, and the gear is all divines and enchanted with max Magicka. If you're in an instance where you can be in melee range, then you could try the new monster set Zans, but in all situations I just prefer Alambris, just because the Mag Sorc is more about concussion uptime and AoE than it is single target DPS. So it's just a matter of playstyle. Also with the staffs, my preferred setup would be a lightning staff on the front bar, a perfected lightning staff on the front bar, but I only have an Inferno staff, and I believe that sorcerers in the group should apply the Asylum debuff or buff, whatever you want to call it. So that's why I have Inferno on the front bar. Ideally I would have lightning on the front bar, and the reason I have lightning on the back bar is because I want to keep concussion up as much as possible. But if you are in a group where your healers and maybe even the tanks are running lightning staffs and with a blockade, then I would switch to a Inferno Maelstrom staff on the back bar infused with a Berserker enchant, and then a Moon Dancer lightning staff on the front bar, or an Asylum lightning, a perfected Asylum lightning staff. I'd rather take a Moon Dancer lightning staff over an imperfect Asylum staff, so just keep that in mind as well. But as of now, I will be running Inferno front and lightning back, which it don't make much of a difference, just concussion up times slightly. So now I'm going to go over I'm going to show you the consumables. We are running Clockwork Citrus Fillet, which increases max health by 3724, health recovery by 351, maximum Magicka by 3457, and Magicka recovery by 319 for 2 hours. As you can see, there's not much difference between Witch Mothers and Clockwork, so if you can't afford Clockwork Citrus Fillet, then I would suggest running Witch Mother's Brew. We're also carrying around Double Bloody Mara to reduce our vamp stage. I always have some of this on me because I like to keep vampire. And the potions we're using is Essence of Spell Power, which grant you Major Sorcery, which increases your spell damage by 20% for 47.6 seconds. Grants Major Prophecy, which gives you 2191 spell critical for 47.6 seconds, and also restores 7582 magicka, and grants you Major Intellect, which increases your magicka recovery by 20% for 47.6 seconds. So that's the potions I'm using. Now I'm going to go over the skills. So on the front bar we are running Mage's Wrath, Force Pulse, but I do recommend in certain situations, in certain trials, changing this to Crushing Shock. So like when I'm in different trials, I'll always be switching my morphs around and stuff like that. So I'd be prepared for that if you're really serious about the sort. So we have Force Pulse, and then third skill is the Summon Volatile Familiar. We have Daedric Prey and Bound Aegis, and the ultimate on that bar is Shooting Star, which if you want you can run the Greater Storm Atronach. It's really good, it's just been buffed, and it also has a synergy that grants allies Major Berserk, increasing their damage done by 25% for 8 seconds. I just prefer the extra max magicka you get from Shooting Star, so that ultimate would be entirely up to you. Sorry about that. On the back bar we are running Liquid Lightning, Blockade of Storms, Summon Volatile Familiar again because it needs to be double slotted, Hardened Ward, and this is entirely up to you. If you feel more comfortable with the build, then I would suggest, or if you're comfortable with trial mechanics and stuff like that, either running Harness Magicka or the other morph to this, which gives extra magicka recovery. So it's just how comfortable you are with trials and stuff like that. I prefer to run Hardened Ward just so I've got a bigger shield. And we are double slotting Bound Aegis again, because obviously we need a double slot it else it goes off. And the ultimate on that bar is Thunderous Rage. When we're not running Crystal Frag anymore, because the reason I don't run Crystal Frag is because I don't want the exploitation passive, because with everyone running with Nightblade's being buffed so much, and I'm running Mechanical Acuity in almost every situation, the less crit they have, the better the set performs. So giving them extra crit is gonna, it's just not useful because they have 100% crit when the set is procced, and because Mechanical Acuity is controllable, we don't really need to use the exploiter passive anymore. So now I'm going to go over the champion points. So we have 56 into Warlord, 11 into Sprinter. This is entirely up to you, you could put more into Tumbling if you wanted. This is just the way I like my CP setup. I do like to sprint a lot in trials and in Maelstrom, etc. We have 75 into Arcanist and 64 into Tenacity. And we also have 34 into Tumbling. We have 51 in Elfborn, 56 in Elemental Expert, 32 in Spell Erosion. We have 20 into Master at Arms and 81 into Thermitage. So the reason we have 81 into Thermitage is because most of our damage is coming from dots, damage over time. So instead of having 75 from previous patch, with the extra points we got, you might as well put it into Thermitage and reach the jump point. The reason we don't run as much into Master at Arms is because we're not running Crystal Frag no more, so we don't get as much of a benefit. Obviously your enchant will benefit from Master at Arms, so you're going to want some points into it, and obviously your Force Pulse and your Asylum Staff procs, they're going to benefit from Master at Arms. So you're going to want some points into Master at Arms, just not as much as we did last patch. We are running obviously 51 Elfborn, 56 into Elemental Expert, you know that. So now I'm going to go over the red tree. I am running 61 points into Ironclad, 27 into Spell Shield, 40 into Thick Skinned, 56 into both Hardy and Elemental Defender. But this tree is entirely up to you. You can switch around however you feel comfortable. Generally, the red and the green trees more about preference than they are about min-maxing. It's only the blue tree that is the most important. So that's the champion points. And now I'm going to go over some passives. So if people want to skip past this part, I'm just going to briefly go over passives that people might want. You're going to want all the dark magic passives except exploitation, because we're not using it. If you want to take exploitation and use Crystal Frag or use Daedric Mines, it's entirely up to you. You're going to want all Daedric Summoning passives, all Storm Calling passives, all the Destruction Staff passives, all Light Armor passives. You're going to want Windwalker from Medium Armor, just to get a little bit of extra stam recovery. You're going to want Resolve, Constitution and Juggernaut from the Heavy Armor passives for some extra physical and spell resistance, a bit more sustain with Constitution, and a bit more max health with Juggernaut. You're going to want Supernatural Recovery, Undeath and Unnatural Resistance from the Vampire passives. You're going to want Banish the Wicked from the Fighters Guild, all the Mages Guild passives, both the Undaunted passives, all the High Elf passives, well, all your racial passives depending on whichever race you are. And in Alchemy you're going to want Medicinal Use, which is one of the most important passives. When using potions, resulting effects last 30% longer, basically giving you a 100% uptime on the buffs from potions. So now I'm going to go over the rotation, which the rotation is very situational and changes depending on your weapon, depending on your weapons. So your rotation would be different if you had a Fire Staff back bar. So now I'm going to go over the rotation. So obviously starting off, you're going to want to activate your pets for some initial burst, use your potion, and then drop your Destro ult, and then it'll be Light Attack Liquid Lightning, Light Attack Blockade of Storms, Light Attack Pet Switch Bar, Light Attack Daedric Prey, and then we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Force Pulses and Switch Bars, and then you're going to want to Light Attack Liquid Lightning, Light Attack Blockade of Storms, Light Attack Pet, Switch Bars again, Light Attack Prey, and then on this time you're going to want to do 4 Force Pulses and then Switch Bars, and then same again. And what I want to point out is the importance of off-balance procs now. So you're going to want to watch out for when off-balance is procced, because you have a very small window to take advantage of the resource return, the double resource return that you get from heavy attacking with off-balance. So basically what I do is to alter my rotation to when off balance procs is instead of when I put my dots down and I switch back to my front bar, so when I put my dots down I'll switch back to my front bar. Obviously I've seen an off balance proc, then I'll do 1 Force Pulse and then switch straight back to my back bar to get the double resources from the off balance proc. But normally what I would do is do my dots and then I would do 1, 2 switch bars, heavy attack straight away as soon as I see off balance, so then you can take advantage of the double resource return. So this patch, it's all about watching out for off balance, and you know, obviously I'll show you the rotation now with a lightning staff front bar and an inferno staff back bar, just in case that's what you want to run, or it's entirely up to you. Just remember that Sorcs are more for AoE DPS now than they are for anything else, and for keeping concussion up times, so just remember that. So how we would start as rotation is obviously pop a pot, drop your ulti, and then do the 2 dots on the back bar, switch, pet, pray, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, switch bars, reapply your dots, pet and pray on the front bar again, 1, 2, 3, 4, switch bars, reapply your dots, 1, 2, heavy attack, switch bars, reapply your dots. And the reason we've switched around the rotation, because we've switched our staffs, is because you want the pet to benefit from ancient knowledge, the extra 8% AoE damage, which he only gets on a lightning staff bar. So that's why we've activated our pet on the front bar on this one rather than the back bar. So that's the build. If you have any questions or I've missed anything out, please let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and just remember that I have a Discord with build discussions, etc. So all that will be in the description. I have a Facebook and a Twitter account. So thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And I will be putting a DPS test. I'll switch to a clip of a DPS test, so watch out for that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.